The war had raged for over a century. Across the cold void, the Xel'vari Dominion and the Tyrak Swarm clashed in an endless struggle for dominance. Planets had been reduced to molten wastelands, entire systems left lifeless. Their fleets, numbering in the tens of thousands, met in brutal engagements where only the strongest survived. In the heart of the battlefield, a colossal Xel'vari dreadnought, the vengeance of Kali's, loomed over the shattered remains of a Tyrak battle cluster. Its plasma lances carved through enemy hulls with ruthless efficiency, while swarms of fighters darted between the wreckage, ensuring no survivors escaped. The Tyrak, despite their overwhelming numbers, were faltering. The Dominion would claim yet another decisive victory. Then it arrived. A single warship, unfamiliar in design, dropped out of FTL at the very edge of the battlefield. It was unlike anything either side had ever seen, sleek, black-hulled, devoid of energy signatures recognizable to their sensors. It drifted forward in absolute silence, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The alien admirals barely took notice at first. Another foolish race caught in the crossfire. Another soon-to-be casualty. A Xel'vari officer sent a transmission to the unknown vessel, her voice laced with condescension. "You are in a restricted combat zone. Identify yourself or be destroyed." For a moment, nothing. Then a reply. Acknowledged. No identification. No plea for safe passage. Just a single word. The officer sneered. A primitive species, perhaps? Their technology was unreadable, but that hardly mattered. The vengeance of Kali's turned one of its plasma lances toward the vessel, charging a shot powerful enough to atomize it in an instant. Before the order could be given, it fired first. A single projectile, moving at speeds their sensors failed to track, slammed into the dreadnought's hull. There was no explosion, no energy discharge, just a perfectly clean hole, cutting through the entire structure as if the ship were made of paper. For 2 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, the vengeance of Kali split in 2. The Xel'vari fleet watched in stunned silence as their flagship, the most advanced warship in their arsenal, crumbled under its own weight, its pieces drifting apart in the vacuum. No known weapon in the galaxy was capable of such destruction. Panic rippled through the Dominion ranks, but before they could react, the ship fired again. 2 more rounds. 2 more capital ships, obliterated instantly. The Tyrak Swarm, seeing an opportunity, attempted to seize the advantage. Their vessels swarmed toward the unknown warship, wings of fighters screeching through the void, bioplasma cannons charging to full power. They unleashed their barrage, green energy lashing toward the black hull. Nothing hit. Every shot veered off course, missing by impossibly wide margins. The warship hadn't activated shields. It hadn't moved. The Tyrak weapon simply failed. Silence spread across the battlefield. Both factions, once locked in bitter combat, turned their full attention to this new force. A single ship, a single enemy, and already the balance of the war had shifted. Desperation took hold. The Xel'vari and Tyrak, sworn enemies for generations, did something unthinkable. They stopped fighting each other. Within minutes, a temporary alliance was formed. Their combined fleets adjusted positions, shifting from their ancient battle formations into a single, coordinated force. Over 1,000 warships, capital-class dreadnoughts, and entire carrier battalions turned their weapons toward the lone intruder. A fleet of this size could reduce a planet to dust in mere hours. Even the most fortified strongholds had fallen before such power. The unknown warship had demonstrated terrifying capabilities, but this was absolute force. The command to fire was given. The void ignited in a spectacle of destruction. Coordinated precision strikes, gravitational mines, and experimental warheads designed to crack open moons were unleashed all at once. Energy lances, so powerful they could shear through a sun's corona, converged on the vessel from all sides. There was no escape, no room for maneuvering. And yet, the moment the first shots were fired, the ship was already gone. Not through hyperspace, not through teleportation. It had simply vanished from every known sensor. For a fraction of a second, The battlefield was eerily quiet. Then, ships began dying. Xel'vari battlecruisers erupted from within, their cores compromised before their shields even registered an attack. Tyrak bioships convulsed violently, as if something had reached into their very nerve clusters and ripped them apart from the inside. Panic spread like wildfire. Captains shouted conflicting orders. Titan formations. Spread out. Reverse thrust. Fire blind. None of it mattered. Their greatest weapons, their strongest defenses, all of it was meaningless. Then came the final blow. A ripple, barely visible to the naked eye, spread through the battlefield. A gravitational distortion unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Space itself bent unnaturally, warping in on itself like a collapsing singularity. Hundreds of ships were pulled inward, crushed into infinitesimal fragments before their crews could even comprehend what was happening. Distress signals flared, but there was no one left to receive them. The survivors, those lucky enough to be on the outskirts of the battle, fled. Entire battle groups activated emergency jumps without coordination, vanishing into deep space without a destination. Rank and protocol no longer mattered. Survival was all that remained. The battle was over. Not won, not lost, erased. Among the scattered wreckage, drifting bodies, and shattered remains of what was once the most powerful fleet in the known galaxy, only one vessel remained. Silent, motionless, waiting.